Folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Matt Keats Memorial Disc Golf Course in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're here at Nevin Park. Round one of the finals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship underway in its tournament central time. Brian Earhart and Nate Perkins, we're going to preview the action for you. Scores reset, Nate.
Yep.
It's a 2-round sprint to the finish for $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of this? What do you make of the pressure? And maybe we can reflect on what we saw this morning.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. And yeah, this morning it was a grind out there. I mean, it took the FPO field 2 hours to play the front nine. I mean, when we arrived here, it was pouring rain. The rain's done. Looks like it's going to hold off the rest of the day. It's the calm on the other side of the storm. There's no wind right now. Wind not really playing too much of a factor with the woods out here. But the slick tee pads are definitely going to be something we're going to key in on. It can really, shake you up a little bit. It can mess up the timing. You're going to see potentially some slips on the front foot when the players go to brace on a big tee shot. And yeah, a little bit different ground play out there. I feel like the greens can either be really sticky with the mud or be, really skippy, with the lack of friction out there. So course is playing a little different than it did yesterday, but at this point, every competitor has played 2 rounds. Compare that to previous tour championships where potentially players that are in the lead have had 2 byes. And now with this new format, everyone's played 2 rounds, and typically what we see when the best in the world have had 2 rounds, the scores tend to drop, and I predict we're going to see that today. I don't think we're going to see a lot of people shooting over par today. I think the course is going to get torn up today.
Well, I think scoring conditions are fantastic. You said it's very wet out there, but our operations team, led by Greg Diaz today, actually blowtorched the tee pads to make sure that any sort of morning dew or wetness or rain or mud was as dry as possible and off the tee pads. So our operations team doing tons of work out there to ensure that the players have at least the most safe footing from the tee pads out here. It drains really well out here at Nevin. You're not seeing any standing pools of water, even though it rained for hours last night and this morning. Although it's draining well, it is still a little bit soft in the middle of the fairways. We saw players this morning slipping quite a bit, but we haven't seen rain for a little bit now, so we'll see how those fairways shape up now. But, Nate, we got to talk about Calvin Heimberg. I mean, like you said, extremely intelligent player, always seems to turn on the jets as the tournament gets later on, but now he's in a position where the pressure is ramped up, and when the pressure gets really high, Nate, we've noticed in the past that he has a tough time closing.
He's probably the best player in the world over the last 2 years that has not won a major. And my question for Calvin is, does this feel like a major? Is this going to give you the same pressure that has caused you to fail on the big stage? And really in the final round, too. I mean, the man's gotten himself on the lead card, half a dozen times over the past, 8 majors for that final round. And he would be carrying a 3-stroke lead, I believe, into this round. But because of the reset, it's squared. He's squared with the other 11 competitors that he's going up against. And he had a little bit of something to say about that reset. He said he kind of wishes that he'd at least have a few of those strokes to go in, but he knew what he was getting himself into.
We did talk to Calvin after his 3-under par effort yesterday. Let's take a listen.
I tried a couple different things off the tee that I didn't yesterday just to see, if I might want to do them, going into tomorrow. But as a whole today, it was just, don't waste too much mental energy and just, save it all for the weekend.
Well, how do you feel about your bag? I mean, I saw during round 1, a couple of those eagles were like bleeding over a little bit. Did you throw a little bit more overstable today? What were the changes today?
Yeah, I think there's really only one spot where I think I threw an eagle that was different from yesterday. For the most part, the game plan was the same, but I tried a couple different tee shots. Like I threw a backhand off the tee of hole 7, and then I also threw a backhand off the tee of hole 11. So plays that I might use tomorrow, I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm a little stumped on what I want to do on 7. It's really difficult, par 4, but I don't know. We'll see what's feeling good tomorrow.
Cool. What's a number you think it's going to take this thing down in 2 rounds?
I don't know. I think it's probably going to take double digits of some kind. I think someone will come out here and shoot, a 6 or a 7 and then put together like a 4 or 5 after. So
cool.
But yeah, it could be hotter, and if it's bad weather at any point, it could also be less. But I don't know. I mean, you see the people play today, and you see there's birdies everywhere. It's just you can also bogey. So if someone really is lighting it up, they could string together an 8 or 9 down going into the Sunday final round.
Well, Calvin said double digits is going to be what it takes to take down this championship. I have to agree with him. I don't think 3-under par is going to be enough. Nate, how deep into the double digits do you actually think they're going to have to go?
Honestly, it's 12 to 15. I think you could see someone go 8 and a 7. We saw Hammis go 8. We saw a couple 7s so far this week, and the play just keeps getting better, I think. And once players start to figure out the course and figure out what specifically what disc they're throwing on each hole, what tempo they need. I mean, if we just played Nevin all week long, I mean, with the top 32 in the world, eventually most of the field is going to average 7 to 10 under par. I feel like players can figure the course out. Even the most difficult course in the world, you bring the best players into it, and they always blow us away. So this is the hardest course that we've seen all year, but I think 2 8s and you're going to feel safe.
Well, Adam Hamish just showed us that 8 under par clean was possible. A player that is trying to gun down that number is Isaac Robinson, who earlier in the week we mentioned he was our favorite because of his gap hitting abilities and the ability to hit the long putts from the uncomfortable lies. What do you think about how he's performed so far?
Yeah, I think he's performed well enough. You know, all he needed to do yesterday was, even par, a couple over. There really wasn't a lot of stress, but came out with a turkey, only player this week to get the first 3. And yeah, he didn't bogey a hole till the 17th, Brian. And here's that mid-range. Look at this turnover there. This is hole 2. This is a forehand for most players. That's going to check up inside the bullseye right there.
I mean, Nate, he's 7 under par in the woods. He comes out into the open, and then he gets his bogey strokes. That could be scary for him. If these holes give him that much trouble, and it's not a fluke that he just got them in that one particular day, coming down the stretch, he might have to do something he's really uncomfortable with. And I wonder if that's going to be enough for him to just score in the woods.
Yeah, he's 5 over on the last 2 holes, Brian, and that is significant. Those holes have been giving so many people trouble. I mean, we just saw it take out the best, female player this year, and Kristen took an 8. Haley King took an 8. Like, same tee pad, same pin position. This finish is incredibly hard. I think they did a phenomenal job of giving us some open holes here on the first and the last 2. And I don't think we can just say it's because it's open that Isaac's struggling. I mean, Isaac missed the gap on 17 yesterday. That's what caused him to bogey. And then on 18, there's no safe spot in the fairway, and there's no really safe place to lay up to. Like, the layup zone is tight, and we see people try to lay up to that corner. They keep going in the woods right there, and then there's seemingly I haven't seen a single person get up and down from the wood line. Most people are having to pitch out, but yeah, I mean, Isaac continues throwing the M4 and the FX4 and making putts. Like, he's going to be in contention.
Well, Nate, on the other side, Ganon Burr has kept us on the edge of our seats. He barely made it into the finals.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he was catching some bad luck. He felt like he was throwing really solid, but his score for the first 2 rounds didn't show it. What is he going to have to do? I mean, is there any adjustments he can even make at this point, or is it just leaving it up to chance?
Well, he's going to have to get that hyzer flip going. You said it, that he really, adjusted the release point for this week specifically. Typically, he likes to kind of drag over on an Annie, little baby flexes, but you said it, he's hyzer flip guy this week, and he's throwing some dream shots. He threw some beautiful shots yesterday. He putt out of his mind on the front 9. Those par saves on the front there on the 4th that we just saw to start. Two down on the front 7. Great putt right there for birdie. I mean, he looked great. Yesterday he was caddy-less. Matt cruised over to caddy for someone else that was a card ahead of him. I believe Matt is actually bailing a little early this week, so again going to be caddy-less today on this featured card.
I mean, Nate, he looks good. I can't take that away from him. I mean, yes, he had some struggles. Yes, he was over par, but I think a 4 under par effort is okay. He just needs to string more birdies along. I mean, it's not enough to just shoot a 4 under with 6 birdies. I mean, you're going to have to really turn on the jets. So today, he needs to come out swinging. He needs to throw the confident shots. He needs to throw the hyzer flip with confidence. This one here.
That's the one on 12.
On 12, it's just absolutely flawless. A shot that he never would throw even a couple years ago. No, so
that's high level.
He's got to play with pure confidence this week, and he really can't get down on himself. You can't quit in the middle of a sprint.
No.
With that, we talked to Ganon after his 4 under par effort. Let's take a listen.
I'd almost call that more stressful than any tournament I've ever had. And it's just for the potential, and it's basically like, because I made the cut, I'm just tied for the lead with 2 rounds left to go. So that's kind of how it feels. obviously I didn't play my best disc golf, but to battle back after starting my tournament off with a triple bogey, it's pretty insane. But yeah, it's just like this course really tests how you do under pressure. And when you're coming down the stretch, knowing what you have to do, pretty much every player is checking scores because you have to. There's a lot of those, like on the last, from like 11 to probably like 16 is all the stretch where you have to just hit your gaps. If you hit your early gaps, you're going to be rewarded with not bogeys at least. So it gives you chances at birdies, and I did pretty well of just not really having to scramble too much. And with the times I did, I had some really insane scrambles. I'm just looking forward to the low stress weekend, just to know that I made it. I can kind of play. We reset, and you're on a clean slate again, and then everything that happened before this, doesn't matter how much you're down by, you're tied for the lead again. So it's a good feeling.
On the lead card going into the first round of the finals, also Ricky Wysocki. I talked to Fern, his caddy, who's been really open to talking with me throughout the entire year. And Nate, first off, I asked him how Ricky was feeling. He's always been very honest with how Ricky's been feeling, contrary to Ricky, who tries to keep his cards a little closer. Fern said, you know what, but Ricky's battling a few things this week.
Whoa.
I mean, we're not sure what that is. I didn't ask any further, but it might be a Lyme flare-up that Ricky's just doing the best he can to fight through. I can't confirm or deny that, but when you hear that someone's battling through something, you're not quite sure what that is. Yeah. But the thing is, Ricky has been shooting great golf so far, and Nevin just looks really comfortable for him. We talked about this earlier in the week. Ricky has discs that he put back in his bag that he hasn't thrown since the last time he was here at Nevin, to keep them in a good stage of wear so he can play this course as close to identical as last year as possible. And it's working for him, 6 under par. And he keeps getting these double bogeys, Nate. Yeah. I mean, this is, I believe, 4 on the tournament for him. He's got to cut that out, and if he does that, that's an 8 under par effort right there, and that ties Adam Hammis's course record.
Yeah, those doubles, it's just kind of a product of the way that Ricky projects the disc. I mean, just turning away from the target and just yanking on an overstable disc, like going hard on the disc, Brian. And like the 1 on 11 I felt like was excusable. I mean, he was put in a position where there was just no chance at an up and down. He actually had a look for par there, but Ricky has gotten more birdies than anyone else in the field so far this weekend. So we know that he has a potential to shoot a double-digit round under par. I feel like Ricky certainly has the most experience out of anyone playing under this, unique pressure. And we heard from Ganon that he felt like this tournament is the most stressful tournament that he's ever played. Ricky rises to the occasion when that is the case. And yeah, very curious to wonder what Ricky's going through. I mean, is it another Lyme flare? I mean, guy's an absolute warrior.
He's not going to tell you. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to show you anything. He's going to come out here, put his best foot forward, and play this course the best way he sees fit. The last thing I want to say is, Fern also talked to me that he's throwing the Explorer now. He's throwing a flippier fairway driver, getting away from that flex flat play that we talked about with Ganon. And now that's a huge part of his skill set. He was throwing that disc on hole 16 at Maple Hill. So he's got more and more tools in his arsenal, even after all these years. Talked to Ricky as well after his round yesterday. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think in order to win this thing, you're going to have to get a lot of birdies. So I'm very happy with that stat because, if you're not getting a lot of birdies, you're just going to get passed and you're not going to have a chance to win. And so I'm here to win, and I think that's kind of the mindset tomorrow is just attack a lot of birdies. Yeah, you might get a bogey or a double bogey here or there, but I had, I think, 5 or 6 bogey strokes today and still shot 6 under. So, it's going to be, you're having to get a lot of birdies. I think I'm looking to shoot right around 12, 13 under. I think that's going to be what it's going to take to win over these next 2 rounds to take it down. And like I said, I have the aggressive shots and the birdies in my bag to make a lot of birdies. I really like seeing the year-long points transition into, hey, you have an advantage in the Tour Championships like we do this year. Calvin had 6 strokes ahead of second place and 5 under, 4 under. I was at 4 under. I got 4th in points. So I think that equates to something. It makes it easier to make the finals, and I think that's very important because we play all season long, and that's a tough thing to do to win the points title like Calvin did, and so he should get rewarded for it, and he did, and it made it that much easier for him to just coast into the finals. And then, like I said, 2 rounds, and I like the fact that it's 2 rounds as well. It's not just one. Once you make the finals, it's 2 rounds. It's basically a 2-round tournament to determine the winner, and I think that's I think that's a great way to crown a champion. It's going to be all about scrambling and, obviously getting birdies, but when you're not getting birdies, you're going to have to be scrambling for pars and sometimes even bogeys sometimes if you're that far out of position.
Well, those are your leaders, but it's the finals, Nate. Everything is washed. A lot of players battling for that cut line to get into the finals. We'll talk about those players after a quick commercial break.
Friendship isn't defined by time spent together,
but rather by moments shared.
moments that are warm
Exciting.
and new. When you're outfitted for all that's out there.
Even the ordinary becomes extraordinary.
So here's to taking a moment to appreciate every moment, made outside together.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
You can watch the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship and more live pro disc golf coverage here on the Disc Golf Network. Use the code CHAMPTC, all one word, at checkout for 20% off your first month subscription. Scan the QR code or hit the link in the description below to subscribe today and wrap up the 2023 disc golf season. And with that, I have PDGA's Hayden Henry here with me. Hayden, it's been a really chaotic event in a good way. Talk about what you've seen so far.
Well, essentially, we have a 12-way tie at the top of the leaderboard, and it hasn't been that dramatic all season, but we've talked about how tight these leaderboards have been week in and week out, and this just kind of sums it up. So much pressure on the line with this format. It's so great to see. Really enjoyed watching Adam Hammis watch yesterday, coming down the stretch, and then, a guy like Nicholas Antela, only player in the finals this weekend that didn't have a stroke advantage, so carrying the flag for Europe and earned his way here.
Well, Hayden, it's been a long 2023 season. You and I both have been coast to coast at all of these events, talking to the best and brightest in our sport. What does the PDGA have going on now and into the future in the offseason?
Yeah, it's been great to boost the signal of our top players in the sport. The fans love it, but this is a global organization. We're closing in on 10,000 events. There's a lot more sanctioned golf left to play this year. So renew now. You get the rest of the year and all of 2024 if you renew right now. And another project we're going to debut this offseason is something called TD School. Really excited about that. So if you have been running doubles or running a league and you want to host a sanctioned event, we're putting together some tools that are going to walk you through the process step by step. So maybe you can run one of the 10,000 events or more in 2024. So
get involved in your local disc golf community. The PDGA is here to give you the support and resources you need. With that said, we had a lot of players battling for the cut line to get into the finals today of the Tour Championship. Let's take a listen to what a few of them had to say. Talk about the emotions going through this 18.
It was so stressful the whole round. Every shot mattered, and I knew I didn't have much to play with, so it was, I'm just glad to have made it. To be honest, I made a couple long putts, which was very nice, and then I missed a couple shorties, which it evened out. So, again, I'm just happy to be here. Just glad it's over. I tell myself to give it a bid on every putt, and if they drop, great. If not, then hopefully I give it a good run. But to have more than one drop, it was pretty special, and I knew I needed it. To win would be amazing. But, just play 2 solid rounds and not make too many mistakes and just see where it gets me.
I've been sitting in the tent over there next to hole 18, and I just have to wait. I just had to wait and see what happened, and it came down to a couple players doing a couple specific things, and it worked out in my favor. I'm in. I really can't believe it. Yeah, I'm definitely have to put this in my top 5 rounds ever. I think last week even I had another top 5 round in my life. I shot 10 under at Winthrop, and then to shoot 8 under bogey free here at Nevin is, I can't think back to a round that, means more than this one right now. It's just insane. A bogey free out here is just, it is dumb. It doesn't make sense. I had 3 par stays out there today that were unbelievable. Also 3 of the best par stays I've probably had in recent memory. That's what it took today, so it's crazy. I think I was like in 27th place after going in today, and I just told myself, go out there and have fun. It doesn't even matter, what really happens. Just have fun. The more fun I have out there today, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, obviously, just super thankful. I don't feel like I was like super sharp the last 2 days, but I mean, the mental stayed there. I stayed present, never gave up, and scrambled pretty well in some crucial moments. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, it was super stressful. Of course, with the low seed, I had a 25 seed, so I need to shoot hot today. I didn't think that 2 down was going to do it, but I'm in as the last player, so I will take it for sure, but I need to fix a couple things for tomorrow for sure. Yeah, I don't need to think about what happened today or yesterday anymore. It's all on the table now. We are all tied for the lead, as Joel Freeman just said. And yeah, gonna be so exciting. Can't wait.
Well, Nate, let's recap on yesterday. I looked around me as I was following the third card actually yesterday. That's where the action was. Fans were losing their minds. I mean, they didn't know which card to watch. They were all looking at UDisc on their phones to see if their favorite player was in or out. Mm-hmm. One of the most exciting days of disc golf that I have been a part of in a long time. What was it like from your perspective?
Well, yeah, I saw a lot of that third card as well, because all 4 of those competitors, they were on the bubble for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. The entire back 9, it seemed like every shot had so much weight, because at any moment they could have bogeyed and let the next person in. They could have let Conrad in. They could have let Alden Harris in. Like, they were all stressing so hard. And when those players are going through the stress, yeah, it's unfortunate for them, but for the fans, for the fan experience, and for the people watching DGN at home, I mean, it's great TV. It's so entertaining. And today it's different. There's a different weight to it, because it's not, oh, am I gonna get in with this one last par, let me just play for par, let me just play for the single bogey. It's, we got to go get birdies. We got to attack. There's really not a lot to lose. They've already doubled their money. Like, they, obviously the 40K 22 12, like it's big jumps there, but that you're going to have to be double digits under par after 2 rounds to win. So what is there to lose? Like, I feel like the pressure it's still high, but it's just that much different than, oh, I need to really finish like safe to make it into the next round.
Well, we were talking about it this morning, Nate. 2 rounds, blank slate for 40 grand. It is just the right amount of holes to kind of give you that pressure to sprint to the finish, but also it's enough golf to where you can make a mistake, but you can't make too many. I mean, I think it's going to reward consistency, but it's also not one where you're going to be like, okay, I just need to put up a good number this first day. You need to put up a fantastic number so you're not completely out of it going into the final day tomorrow. Nate, we got to talk about our 5th seed, Eagle McMahon, who is in the finals. We've talked about him, he's not great in the woods, or yada, yada, yada. We've had that conversation for a long time. I don't know if I buy it anymore. I think he has improved tremendously in so many areas of his disc golf game, and now the fact is he got to spend a full season throwing shot-shaping backhands.
Yeah.
So what do you make of it, just maybe looking back at what you've seen this season?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that Eagle McMahon is not a great player in the woods for some fans out there because of his play style, but if we look at his track record, I mean, he dominated the European Open at the Beast, which is, half of that is tight wooded shots. He won Idlewild, the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Yep.
That's tight wooded shots. Like, the man knows how to shape at slower speeds. He knows how to throw putter turnovers. Like, lost his forehand, and all of a sudden he developed this like slow speed rainmaker turnover that like led him to a major victory over there in Europe. And he hasn't putt great this week, and he's still putting up decent numbers. Like, I love Eagles' interview before this tournament started, because he talked about like, hey, you've got to hit the gap regardless, so you might as well send it. And he is sending. He's taking that red PD that we've seen for probably 3 years now and just blasting it down the fairways. I mean, did you see where he landed on 14 yesterday? He had a circle 2-putt back at the basket on that hole. It's absolutely unheard of. It was a PD that just never left flat. It it flew 445 feet on a flat line. Like, he throws some of the nastiest wooded shots out there. It's just every now and then he gets off a bit, and when the disc is going 70 miles per hour, like he gets into some crazy places on the course.
Well, Nate, we have one more player to talk about, but it's funny, we could talk about all 12 of these players. These are all either champions or players about to be champions. I mean, no one snuck their way onto this top 12 into the finals. I mean, these are all top players in the world, Kyle Klein being one of them, coming off of winning the U.S. championship.
Yep.
And he loves tracks like this. He's spent time here in Charlotte. He has reps on Hornets Nest and Nevin. What do you make of his chances? And maybe look back at throughout the entire season. What do you think?
Oh, Kyle's chances are so good. I mean, it'd be hard to really, you know, if we're looking at like a roulette table, I'm definitely putting some chips on K Money. I'm putting some chips on Isaac Robinson. Like, you just, like you said, when we're trying to pick between these 12 players, like who has the leg up, it's like who's out the gate running. I mean,
yeah,
this shot down the hill yesterday, like Kyle's shapes they're elegant, and they match up so well with Nevin. I mean, he has the speed necessary to get into position on those really tough par 4s where you have to shape up and around the corner, like 12, 13. He, parked 14 yesterday. Those are just the hardest disc golf holes that you can really draw up as a designer, and he's piecing them apart.
We're wrapping things up here at Tournament Central, folks. We're throwing it right to the ground. The finals have begun. We'll see you soon.
Feeling great starts with a great shave. Today, the world is in the palm of your hand. Or at least this can is. For over 100 years, Barbasol. It's a can of can-do.
Hello, we're Kenna. We're a Dutch growing company. We love plants, and we want to tell you some cool things about them. Just like humans, plants can communicate. They can sense when another plant is close. Plants look out for each other too. They warn neighbors about nearby threats by secreting substances. And studies have shown that plants love a good tune. We love and understand plants. Let our passion excite you too.
Repetitive stress injuries are one of the most common reasons that disc golfers have to take time off from playing the sport they love. With the average disc golf bag weighing up to 25 pounds, this can add up to over 2,000 pounds of accumulated stress on your body during a single round. A cart gives you the ability to bring what you need on the course without the repetitive heavy lifting. This reduces the number of stress points you experience during a round, keeping you at your best.